The watch industry has recently been captivated by the rumored introduction of a new regulation by Rolex, which now appears to be proven. For what purpose does this regulation exist exactly? So in a nutshell, it sounds like this. As a rule, an individual may only purchase 3 Rolex models every year. Now, the first question someone asked was, is that a year or a calendar year? Well, that would be from the date of your first purchase. So if you buy the watch on January 1, you'll only be able to buy 2 more Rolex watches before January 1 the next year. This is probably, if not definitely, the biggest move Rolex has made in living memory, and it will work. To find out why, stick with the luxury world until the end of this video. Welcome to the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. One of the main challenges in the watch industry over the past several years, at least 3 years, has been that Rolex authorized dealers have essentially had carte blanche to sell their watches to anyone they want and whoever they chose. We are all aware that there are legitimate businesses that operate within the rules, and we have confidence in dealing with them. However, some of the larger authorized dealers have been caught taking advantage of their clients by offering or accepting inflated prices or bonuses in exchange for shady business practices. This is in a new way considered to be flipping. Rolex flip watches are now trending, especially now when many popular models of Rolex have waiting lists, and acquiring one might be next to impossible. The fact that some buyers immediately go on to sell the watch they have been given is exceedingly problematic both for Rolex and the AD, as waiting lines for the most popular Rolex watches may be many years, even decades long. What has occurred over the course of the past 3 years is that a significant number of authorized dealers have experienced a significant reduction in the size of their loyal and so-called preferred customer-client bases, ultimately reaching a point where the same people are purchasing the same watches week after week and month after month. The vast majority of Rolex watches are not sold to authorized resellers or jewelers. Instead, it's distributed to random individuals. Some of them are only interested in making a fast buck. It's easy to see why so many people jump at the chance to acquire a sought-after Rolex when the opportunity presents itself, especially when you factor in the quick return on investment that some of these watches can provide. That has completely tied off the supply, not only to the general public that wants to buy these watches, but also to regular collectors who want to acquire 2 or 3 or even more a year for their own real collection. Rolex probably came up with this rule to send a clear message to authorized dealers that the company and its headquarters in Geneva have had enough of the petty antiques of certain employees. Rolex is sending the word that they are done playing many of the games. This new regulation is Rolex's way of telling its approved dealers that they need to start servicing the broader public instead of the same favored clientele, because it's evident that Rolex is aware of what's happening and wants to put a stop to it. Because Rolex knows this, they know what's going on. They look at the names and addresses of the people who buy Rolex watches and see that it's always the same people. It's possible that Rolex has talked to their authorized dealers about this, since the same thing that bothers Rolex also bothers their authorized dealers. Obviously, there will be collectors who are disappointed that they can continue to buy as many Rolexes as they formerly did. However, we cannot forever feel particularly sorry for them. After all, we need to protect the whole watch community. And there are people who wish to buy their very first Rolex watches but cannot, due to some flippers or customers who buy them around 6 to 6 watches a year. Hence, this restriction from Rolex is a brave and good one for everyone, since it shows that Rolex does not approve of its authorized dealers making the additional money that they are plainly making in certain cases from their so-called favored clientele. According to the rumor mill, Rolex is no longer accepting new customers, or more accurately, its authorized dealers are no longer accepting new clients or registering interests from new customers seeking sports watches. Despite the fact that this order doesn't appear to have originated from Rolex, this may be a case of authorized dealers saying that they are restricting the number of Rolex watches they are willing to sell to their most valued customers in order to maximize the benefits, bonuses, and additional sales that will come from serving these customers. What long-term impact will this have? Well, we've heard that some authorized dealers are stuck with some hot models because they aren't selling them to new clients, or even most of their preferred clients. This is where some critical thinking is required. After all, why wouldn't Rolex already have someone willing to buy, say, a Pepsi GMT on their books? This doesn't make sense because their books are quite close. They have a tiny set of consumers that they're serving extremely often. This is evidenced by the fact that everyone on their books has purchased at least 3 watches in the previous 12 months, which is now off limits. If Rolex can't sell more than 3 watches to each of their flipper buddies every year, this might have a profound effect on the retail Rolex sector in the long run. They're going to have to start looking for fresh fish, which means they'll be on the lookout for new clients who are willing to spend money on this thought of things other than Rolex. While we don't expect this to change in the near future, we do believe that they're currently accepting expressions of interest from potential customers. It's clear that in the long run, things will have to shift. And after giving it some thought, we can all agree that folks at Rolex HQ in Geneva deserve some credit for instituting a new leadership system that will ultimately benefit the watch industry. It appears that all of Rolex's authorized dealers have been given the freedom to make their own decisions, such as withholding warranty cards without interference from Rolex. While that strategy ultimately failed, it's not bad to hope and have a feeling that this new one finally will. Why? Because it isn't to the benefit of the authorized dealers. Now that Rolex has finally realized that they have to step in and stop it, let us all hope that this works. And that's the wrap for today's video. Please don't forget to press the like button and subscribe if you want to be the first to hear about the next incredible luxury item. Stay tuned for the next video.